And as I indicated just a few short minutes ago, this is a presentation by Biel and our partner SciGen. And the objective of today's meeting is to run through 10 or 11 PowerPoints in 5 minutes or so, but most importantly, be able to present SciGen software in the AP processing world and just really give you an overview of the basics and go from there. We Biel do a lot of webinars, and hopefully it'll be informative today. And please feel free to ask any questions you like as we go along. But the objective today is process enhancements for the financial industry. Next. My name is Paul Eckert. I've been in the business for 30 years and have a good understanding of this industry and the technology and the real growth that we've had over the last 7 or 8 years, specifically in this market of invoicing and invoice processing. Next. So quickly, who are we? We're one of the oldest conversion service bureaus in the country, but that's really moved us into the software world, which is where we are today. As you see, our clients all over the United States, and we have experience in the industry and in the business process we're going to talk about today, from New York, where we're located, to Florida, to Borden Dairy in Dallas, to Washington, in which one of our representatives just went there last week to secure a invoice processing sale in their department. Next one. Just some of our vendors. As you see, SciGen's the top vendor. They're the ones presenting today. But we, as a solution provider, have numerous products, and it's our objective to listen to you, the customer, and or prospect, and understand what your needs are, and then align it with the best. The best in this particular category in invoice processing in the financial aspects of your business, unequivocally SciGen with the power of the tool, and that's the selection we make for our vendors in this particular vision that we're going to talk about today. Next. Just our clients, again, I talked about those from around the country. Some you recognize. New Era Cap, that's one you'll see tonight or tomorrow in the World Series. All New Era Caps are made for all Major League Baseball players. So you see their advertisements all over the field, and the Buffalo Bills lost last week, like some other teams did, and hopefully your team won. Next one. So notable financial solutions, self-explanatory, but the Bills in the data capture and document management software, reducing data entry. A quickie is a value that we actually bring the customer, that we actually do their business process outsourcing. We have their information sent to our office, and we utilize the tool that way. And Zodiac is a large organization at which we scan purchase orders. Next one. So, again, our services is scanning, is data capture, is document management, which is the storage and retrieval. The workflow process, or if we can focus on that for just a second, streamlining business processes through the approval process. That again gives you some of these major benefits, and it's really the value of why the paperless office, which we all talked about 30 years ago, in your particular department, in your particular arena, in the AP world, it really works at a much higher level than it ever has over the last 6 or 7 years, and it's because of the workflow, and it's because of the value of the SciGen software and the quality of their search engine and how well it recognizes information. Next. I think there's 3 more left, and we'll get right to the demo. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but reduced to the ridiculous, I guess. The pain points that we understand people have in your departments, and the simplicity of how automation helps, and how it helps in those just 5 categories. Next. So the profits and numbers. It's not us talking about it. It's the industry. It's what's happening. It's maybe why you're on the line today, is you made an internal decision. And again, as you're considering it for 2017, it's a good time to do it, because that's a good time to start a new process versus filing the paper in your cabinets and taking the old ones out and sticking them in boxes and putting them downstairs and all those things. if you move to the automated process, everything will be electronic going from January 1st, 2017 on. Next. And self-explanatory. Again, the bottom one, workflow for full routing of approvals, payment exceptions, and it's the front end of your ERP. So if you have the ERP, the SAPs of the world or the other products, what a large investment you've made unequivocally, but how can this workflow or routing of approvals or payment exceptions help complement your ERP? And it certainly can in the things you'll see today. And last, PowerPoint. So that's the ROI. That's the objective of saying, what is the cost of the invoice in your business right now? And you should have that number. You should understand and know that number within your organization. And what are some of the annual savings and monthly savings? And if you don't have it, this is printed from AIM, which is an organization that supports the industry. And you can receive the next two documents if you want to go to those, Story. I'm sorry, just three case studies. Just flash through these. There's Borden, other bills, and something you may want to look at in the future. But this is what I want to get to the next one. So these are the ROI Discovery Accounts Payable Automation Worksheet. Again, you can get this from us or get it from the industry being AIM, and you can understand between this and the next one how it will drive your costs of how many invoices you have per month. You know, what are the savings? What are the calculations? And this is what our customers do, or we do for you, our customer, in saying this is some of the justification of how this can be advantageous within your department. So with that said, I hope I stuck to my 7 minutes, and we want to go forward and have Keith introduce himself, if you could, Keith, and begin to present SciGen Software.
Thank you, Paul. This is Keith Snyder from SciGen Software. Before I get into my demonstration, I'd just like to say thank you to our friends at Biel's. They've been a partner of SciGen for many years. They have done some fantastic projects throughout the years, and you just mentioned a few of them, like Borden Dairy and Trailer Bridge. Really, they've a superb organization, highly trained on our software as well as others, and you're making a good choice by working with them. Now, that being said, let's get on to the demonstration. So, a lot of folks want to reduce the time it takes to process an invoice, whether it's, you know, going through an approval process, even just to simply archiving their documents so they're no longer putting them in boxes and leaving them in the warehouse or filling up filing cabinets and so on. Hopefully that sounds familiar to all of you that are on the call. Well, it all starts with capturing the information from the invoice. If you don't catalog the information, you don't capture the simple fields like invoice number and vendor name and invoice date, total amount, maybe PO number. If you don't get those 4 or 5 fields, you're not going to find your documents later. You're really going to struggle with that. So that's where SciGen comes in. That's where we can come in and streamline the process of getting information from the scanned images that you get every day. So I'm going to simulate a scan. We're going to start off with some invoice processing. So imagine, if you would, you walked up to maybe a scanner that you have on your desk, and it could be, you know, any brand of scanner. It's irrelevant to SciGen. I know that the folks at Biel's will help you select the right one. There is no one-size-fits-all for a scanner. Some folks need really, really big, fast machines. Some folks just need a really small desktop machine that'll handle just a few hundred pages a day. There's no wrong answer there. You pick what's right for you. So you push the documents in the scanner. I don't have a scanner in my laptop right now, so I'm just going to simulate that. And I'm going to push the Start Capture button. And now the scanner would be running the pages through. Now, before I go any further, you might say to me, hey, Keith, what about the copiers that we own? Those things scan, I think. Yeah, they probably do. And we're hardware agnostic. So if you want to work with the copiers, we can do that. Just got to be careful that we have the right settings on the copiers and they're built to handle the volume of scans. It may be better off going with a desktop scanner or a copier. It's your choice. Now, often we also get asked, well, wait a minute, we get a fair amount of invoices electronically. People email invoices to accounting@scigen.com or accounting@youroffice.com. Well, we get that too. So you don't have to print the invoice to scan the invoice. Why go analog to go digital, right? It's already scanned. It's already a PDF or a TIFF or something like that. So we have solutions around that as well, where we can extract the information from the email and then auto process just like we scanned it in right now. All right, so we're going to move forward in the workflow. You're done scanning, or you're done with a scanning at a network scanner or a copier, or we got it from your email or whatever. The images got put into SciCapture, and now we're auto processing the images. So what's happening in this step is something called classification. We're determining what did we just scan in. Are they invoices? And if they are invoices, where did we get them from? Which vendor sent these in? Now, you may have thousands of different vendors. And in this case, we had 10 different invoices. And the software recognized 9 out of the 10. So you can see there's a triangle here on the left on the fourth one that it's not sure what's going on here. So the user could then click on that image. They can see on the right-hand side that it's total filtration services. Okay, well, maybe we'll do a drop-down list and we'll find total filtration services on all our vendors. No, there isn't one. There's no vendor that starts with a T. So we're going to have to train the software. We have to teach the software how to recognize this brand new vendor because we've never seen it before. So you, the user, would just type in total filtration services, and then we're going to pick something unique on the right-hand side over here so that we know it's total filtration services. I like to use a phone number or a fax number. Now, I just did 2 mouse clicks, 2 left click, click, that was it, and created 2 complex business rules. For those of you in IT, that's known as a regular expression. For the rest of us, we're just going to call those a complex business rule. So it knows that this is total filtration services. You could also grab maybe their name. Ooh, that was pretty sloppy. Let me do that one again. I was kind of all over the place on that one. You could grab their name just like this, total filtration services, and we're good to go. So now what we might do is maybe we'll set up some last page rules as well. How do we know when that invoice ends? You know, maybe they put thank you for your business only on the last page, or amount subject to, or sales tax. So you can see I just created 3 more complex business rules. The last thing we have to teach the software is how do I recognize how to find invoice number, invoice date, PO number, total amount. Well, when we click on the zone profile, the software just made a guess. It just guessed for total amount or PO number or invoice number and date. And it automatically created something called a smart zone. So the way this is working is on the bottom right-hand corner, for example, we're looking for the term total, remit due, total amount due, and so on. And we're building a little zone around that. It's called a smart zone. So we know how to find that information. If I double click on that, you can see, let me zoom in for you here. You can see it found the word total, and then this pink box is where it's going to extract out the currency. So we found the anchor of the word total, and we're extracting off the dollar amount. Pretty straightforward. So now that we've saved that work, if somebody else in the organization happens to be scanning documents in at the same time, and they get a total filtration invoice, it's not going to ask them to train it, because you already did. That's we have this green checkbox right here. So we click save, and off it goes to now save the work, and then auto index is the next step where it's going to extract off all those values, the invoice number, the invoice date from all 10 invoices. It's almost done, and then it's going to stop at the quality assurance stage. Now the quality assurance stage is where we double check the work visually. You can inspect it. If you have a system that has your invoice numbers and your vendor names and your dollar amounts, you could programmatically or systematically check the amount. So we could ask an accounting software, as long as we have rights to the database, hey, we found this PO number, is the invoice total right? And if it is, keep going and don't even stop here. We don't have that scenario in this case, so now someone is going to inspect it. And when they click on a value on the left, it shows you on the right, hey, I found it right here. Or I found the invoice date here. Or I found the PO number here. And it takes you right to the image and zooms right in for you. Now you might say, well, why does the PO number on this last invoice, why is it not there? Well, because it's not on the image. Good reason, right? So if it's not on the image and you know it, the information on the left is live. I just mashed my keyboard and filled in the information. Now that we're done inspecting our work, we're simply going to close this out, and it's going to be published into whatever document management system you want. So I'm going to give you one more example. We're going to start over, and this time we're going to pick something different. This time we're going to actually gather line item details. In other words, how many widgets did we order? And it's not going to stop. This one's going to cruise on through. It's not going to have that training step where it won't recognize an invoice. So you scanned everything in, and now you're done. So everything you're seeing on the screen now would be happening on your behalf on the server. You don't have to sit at your desk and watch the dial spin. You can allow that to work on the server. And the only place you're going to see these, since this one's going to move all the way through without having to train the software, the only place you have to stop and inspect is that quality assurance step. Did we get the information correct? Now, I know for a fact that we did, but you can correct that information if it's not accurate. Accuracy is important. You want to make sure you have it right. And you can see here we have our image on the right. You have the spreadsheet looking interface on the left. And as you click on anything, so we'll click on an invoice number here, it takes you right to that document and tells you, hey, here's where I found it. I have it right. But if you click on an item number, it shows you where it found the item number, or the description, or the cost, and so on. So we can see that all over the place, that we can just click on it and inspect it. And this is a multi-page invoice. So if I click on a different part number, oops, same image, there we go. If I click on a different part number, it takes me to that next page, and I can get that information. Now, that being said, if you see something that's incorrect, let's say this $295 was not correct, or $2.95, excuse me. I could come in and say, well, that should have been $2.96. Maybe there was something wrong with the image and I need to correct it. You can easily correct that information, no problem. Okay, so it allows you to inspect the work and make sure it's accurate. And then when you're done, again, you're going to push this close batch button. And when you close the batch, it will make searchable PDFs if that's what you want, and then move on to what we call migration. And migration is where we can publish the information into other systems. So we could publish into maybe FileBound or Application Extender or SharePoint, and all of those are document repositories. But we can also, in many cases, build a load file that will go into an ERP system. So we're going to write to a SQL or Oracle database, or maybe give you a CSV file or an XML file that can be imported into your line of business application or your ERP system, your accounting software. Okay, so that was the two different demonstrations we wanted to share with you today. If you have any questions, please put them either there is a question area within your GoToMeeting window on the right-hand side of your screen, or there's also a chat section there if you want to put anything there. While we wait just a couple of minutes, I'll share with you a couple questions that we get often. So as you're typing something in, I'm going to ask my own question, or one that I hear often. So one question we get is, do you have to build a zone or a template for all your vendors? And the answer is you don't have to, but your accuracy is significantly higher if you do that. So I'll give you some examples on accuracy. Now, and before I do that, let me just preface that accuracy is always based on image quality. Very, very important. If somebody sends you an invoice via fax on a fax machine that they bought in 1982 and they've never cleaned it, the odds of us being able to recognize from a really, really dirty image like that are pretty low. But most folks take care of their office equipment and they make good images, so the accuracy is relatively high. We're working with a company right now that's scanning about 7,000 pages a week, so that's not real high volume, but not real low either. And we've been monitoring the accuracy there. They've been sharing some reports with us, and they're getting 98.7% accuracy day in and day out. Now, I'm a firm believer that 100% accurate is not possible 100% of the time, but I will take 98.7 all day long. I think that's pretty good. So can you go without templates? You sure can, but then your accuracy is going to be around the 65 to 70% accurate, where we can get into the high 90s by building those templates. And you watched me build a template for that total filtration services. It's not difficult. Normal business users, knowledge workers can do that. They don't have to be an IT person for most documents. There are times where you need to have a little bit more programming knowledge for the really tough invoices, but we give you that interface as well if you're in that IT department. Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions yet? Well, let me throw another one out there. We get asked often, how is this priced? How much do we pay for this? Well, that's a good question. Paul talked about return on investment, and he's spot on. There's always a return for a SideJet investment, because we're going to streamline the process and make it easier within your office. So you're going to be able to give your employees their jobs back, get them back to managing the supply chain, or doing inventory turns, or making sure that you're not overpaying your invoices, or that you're taking care of prompt paid discounts, all valuable things that will help drive that return. Now, the way we license our software is based on the number of concurrent users and the number of images you're going to scan per year. And the reason we're volume-based like that, volume image-based like that, is so that we save you money. If you're going to do 1,000 invoices a month, you probably don't have the same sort of budget that someone would have if they're doing 100,000 images per month. So the software is scalable, that you could do millions of pages per month through the software, depending on how many users you have, of course. But if you're only going to do 1,000 or 2,000 invoices a month, and they're 2 pages each, then you don't need all that capacity. You get the same features, the same performance, the same speed, but you'd pay less dollars if you're going to do 20 or 60,000 images a year, because you're buying less capacity. You get everything they get, you're just buying a little bit less software. So, well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I'm going to wrap up my side. I thank you again to my friends at Biel's for scheduling this webinar and for being the wonderful partner that you are. And if you have any further questions for SideGen, please contact your sales representative at Biel's. I'm sure they would be very, very happy to help you.
So in closing, thank you all for attending the webinar. Again, as Keith said, any questions, information you need from us, please feel free to contact us via on our website or the documents you signed up for this webinar today. Have a nice day, and thanks again. And how about that? Stay to our 25 minutes. See you later.